Welcome students. Let us understand what is microeconomics. It is related with small units of economy such as firms, consumers and many more. It studies the determination of price, demand and supply of a commodity. Microeconomics is a social science and it studies the implications of incentives and decisions, specifically about how those affect the utilization and distribution of resources. It studies the partial equilibrium, such as price of a commodity or a factor of production or cost of production. Microeconomics describes the pricing of products and money, causes of different prices to different people, how can provide more or less benefit to the producers, consumers and others, and how individual best coordinate and cooperate. Certain activities are favorable for the individuals and may not suit economy, such as savings. It is a paradox sometimes. Microeconomics studies the decisions of individual and firms to allocate resources of production, exchange and consumption. Microeconomics also deals with prices and production in a single markets and the interaction between different market, but it leaves the study of economy wide aggregates to macroeconomics. Microeconomists sometimes formulate mathematical models that are based on samples of behavior and test the models against world observation. Incentive and behaviors means how people as individual or in firms react to this situation with which they are confronted. In microeconomics, we understand the utility theory, like consumers will choose to purchase and consume a combination of goods that will maximize their happiness or utility, subject to constraint how much income they have available to spend. Because in economics we do have assumptions that customer is a rational customer, means customer makes intelligent choices. Production theory, in production theory we will understanding there are some factors of production that are used as inputs, and definitely in production theory we are focusing on how to reduce the cost. So in production theory we will be understanding about the laws related to production theories as well. Price theory, in price theory there is an interaction between utility and production theory, and which determine the prices in a competitive market. As we know, in perfectly competitive market, customer is well known about the prices, different products, substitute products, what are the offerings of the competitors. So customer has the complete information about the market. Now we come to the uses of microeconomics. As we know, it is a purely normative science. So it doesn't try to actually explain what is happening in the market, but instead it is only explaining what to expect if certain conditions are changed. For example, there is example of car manufacturer. If prices are rise, then customer will tend to buy fewer than before. Means a law of demand is applicable here, other factors remain constant, and if we increase the prices, there would be a sudden decrease in demand, the quantity demanded. Now we come to the concept of demand, what the demand is all about. There are two definitions, from one is from Professor Behnam and one is from Hebron. In both the definitions, you see there are something that is related to time and price. In first definition, we see the demand for anything at a given price is the amount of it which would be bought per unit of time at that price. Means they are talking about the prices and the timings. In second definition, according to Hipton, demand means various quantities of a good that would be purchased per time period at different prices at a market. There are certain constituents of demand. So, demand is something that is related to your price and related to your time. So, there is a effective desire as well. Demand is something that is related to effective desire. So, there is a willingness to pay, plus there is backed by the ability to pay that product at a given price and at a given period of time. Now we come to the law of demand. It is very interesting concept in the economics. We see there is a term that is caritas paribus. It means other factors remain the constant. That is important assumption. So according to the definition of that is given by Samuelson, law of demand states that people will buy more at a lower prices and buy less at higher prices, and other things remain the constant. That is the caritas paribus. And according to Frickson, the quantity demanded varies inversely with price. Now we come to the assumptions that are important. First assumption is there should be no change in income of the customer. There should be no change in the taste and preferences of the customer. There should be no change in the prices, and there should be no change in the size of the population. And customer is rational customer. What does it mean if we say the customer is a rational customer? Means customer makes intelligent choices. These are intelligent choices because we understand there is a limited income, right? So customer wanted to spend his income in a such a way that is more optimum, that is optimum choices. He wanted to make optimum choices. So customer makes intelligent choices. There should be no expectation of rise or fall in price of related goods in future. There should be a perfect competition in the market. We mean perfect, by perfect competition, what we understand means there is a complete information about the product, prices of related goods, competitors, everything, right? Demand schedule means there is a relationship between price and quantity demanded at different price. So we can classify it in individual demand schedule. What we understand by individual demand schedule means it shows that quantities of commodities demanded by individual customers at different price. Means if we are considering the individual unit, then we talk about individual demand schedule. What is market demand schedule? It is about the summation, means if we add all the individual units, we will get market demand schedule. It is also the tabular representation of the um, quantity demanded by all units of individuals. If we add together and we present in a tabular way, that would be our market demand schedule. Now we come to the demand curve. It is something, if we have demand schedule in a tabular form and if we wanted to present in a graph, right? So it would be a demand curve. It is graphical presentation of a demand schedule. So we have individual demand curve and market demand curve. So it is graphical presentation. There are certain reasons why demand curves slope downwards. First reason is there is an income effect, then substitution effect, law of diminishing marginal utility, new customers, too many users, and psychological effect. These are the reasons why the demand curve slopes downward. So, if we talk about the chief characteristics of law of demand, so that is inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship between prices and quantity demanded. Price is independent variable and demand is dependent variable. Other things being equal, and it is a qualitative statement and it is concerned with certain period of time. Now we talked about reasons that are underlying the law of demand. Income effect. When price of a commodity falls, it increases the real income of the consumer because it enables him to spend less to buy the same amount of quantity. Whereas if price rises, then his real income falls because he has to spend more of his income to buy the same amount of quantity. This is known as income effect. As a result of this income effect, if the price of a commodity falls, consumer buys more of it on account of increase in his real income. Similarly, when the price of a commodity falls, the quantity demanded decreases due to fall in real income of the customer. Substitution effect, when the price of a commodity X falls, for example, we take a commodity X and the price of its substitute Y remains constant, then this would curtail the consumption of another commodity Y and would increase the consumption of this commodity X because this commodity becomes cheaper than the other commodity. On the other hand, if price of commodity X rises, then price of other commodity Y remains constant and then consumer would curtail his consumption of commodity X and will consume more units of commodity Y. This tendency of consumer is result of substitution effect. Now we talk about operation of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Law of demand is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility. According to this law of diminishing marginal utility, the marginal utility of a commodity diminishes with increase in its consumption of a subsequent unit. A consumer always wants to attain equilibrium. Hence, he will increase his consumption of commodity only when the price of the commodity falls. On the other hand, the reason for decrease in quantity demanded with the rise of price is that the marginal utility of commodity will rise only when it will be consumed less, and the consumer will be in equilibrium when the price is equal to its marginal utility. Changes in number of buyers or new uses. Um, every commodity has its own buyers, but the number of buyers increases with the fall in prices because some buyers who were unable to buy the commodity at higher prices are now able to buy the same. Similarly, when the price increases, the number of buyers diminishes because some buyers who were buying at the commodity earlier at a lower prices are now unable to buy the same at higher prices. Therefore, demand increases with an increase in number of buyers due to fall in price and decreases with fall in number of buyers due to rise in price. New uses, in new uses we can say if we have too many uses or new uses, most of the commodities are for multi-purpose use. When price increases, consumers will use the commodity in essential works only, and if price falls, it would be consumed in less important areas as well. Therefore, the demand rises due to increase in number of uses with a fall in price, and the demand decreases due to use only in important areas with the rise in price. Now we talked about exceptions of law of demand. Prestigious goods. Many rich people use some goods not because of their real worth, but only for their prestige or the snob value of these goods. For example, jewelry, precious stones, old paintings, and many more are some of the commodities which the rich people buy more when their price increases. These commodities become more prestigious with an increase in their prices. Hence, rich people buy more of these. When the prices falls, they no longer remain prestigious and hence they are purchased in less quantities. But a substantial fall in price, these commodities may enable other people in the society to increase their consumption. Therefore, these commodities are not real exceptions or to the law of demand. Giffen goods. A study of poor farmers of Ireland by Sir Giffen in the 19th century revealed that the major portion of their income was spent on potatoes and only small amount of was spent on meat. So potatoes were cheap but meat was costly. When the prices of potatoes tend to increase, consumption of meat was curtailed to economize their expenditure. As a result of this, they saved money and spent more on potato to meet their food deficiency. In this way, quantity of purchase rises even when the purchase of potatoes rise. Sir Giffen attracted the attention of economists towards this tendency. Hence, it is known as Giffen's paradox or Giffen effect. As a result of this effect, quantity of inferior goods purchased fall due to fall in their prices because the real income Mark these words. The real income of the consumer rises as he is able to spend more on purchasing superior goods. This results in fall of demand of inferior goods. Hence, law of demand is not applicable in case of given goods. During war or emergency, many times people purchased greater amount of goods even at rising prices to store them. At times of war or emergency with an expectation of their acute shortage in near future. This happens because there is a chance that the goods will be costlier in future, even may not be available, so people purchase more of them at a higher price. This is this is also not real exception of the law of demand. So ignorance also have effect, and expectation also have some effect on the law of demand. But in conclusion, we can say, in spite of these above expectations that are shown in slide, the law of demand holds good in practical life, and it's true. Now, change in demand. Change in demand means um, that in demand due to its price as well as other factors such as income, fashion, right? When demand changes due to change in price, such change is called extension and contraction of demand. This is known as movement along the demand curve. Means there are changes, whether it is positive change, it is called extension. If it is negative one, then it is a contraction of demand. If demand of good increases due to fall in price is called extension of demand. Only price is the main determinant, and if demand decreases with rise in prices, it is called contraction in demand. It is an important concept. It is a concept of elasticity. Elasticity of demand measures how much the quantity demanded changes with a given change in a particular determinant of demand. Is that price of the item, change in the consumer's income, or change in price of related products and advertisement, etc. Price elasticity of demand. The degree of responsiveness or sensitivity of consumers to change in price is measured by the concept of price elasticity of demand. There are two situations. First, if customers are relatively responsive to price changes, demand is said to be elastic. If customers are relatively unresponsive to price changes, demand is said to be inelastic. Now we have a formula. ET is equal to, there is a negative sign, percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in the prices. Here ET is coefficient of elasticity. Now here we see percentage change in demand quantity demanded. We can measure it, Q1 minus Q0 divided by Q0 multiply by 100. Here Q1 is quantity demanded after the change in the price. Q0 is the previous quantity before changing the price. Percentage change in the price of the product, that is P1 minus P0 divided by P0 multiplied by 100. Here P1 is current price and P0 is a previous price. Elastic demand. If the price elasticity of demand for a good is greater than 1, it means the demand is price elastic, which means that a change in the price will lead to a larger percentage or proportionate change in the quantity demanded. Unit elasticity. If price elasticity of demand for a good is equal to 1, what does it mean? It means if we have unit change in the prices, there would be same proportionate change in the quantity demanded. Inelastic demand. If price elasticity of demand for a good is less than 1, the demand is price inelastic, which means that the change in price will lead to a smaller percentage proportionate change in the quantity demanded. Means it is relatively um, a smaller change. Perfectly elastic demand. If price elasticity of demand for a good is infinity, the demand is perfectly elastic, which means that a change in the price will lead to a substantial change in the quantity demanded. Perfectly inelastic demand. It means if the price elasticity of demand for a good is 0, ED is equal to 0, the demand is perfectly price elastic, which means that a rise in price will lead to no response in quantity demanded. Now we come to the determinants of price elasticity of demand. These are the availability of close substitutes. If we do have close substitute availables, that will also affect the price elasticity. Then importance of products cost in one's budget, number of uses of that good, income of the consumer, high how high the price of good is, nature of the good, the period of time under consideration, joint demand. Joint demand means the person the goods that are consumed together. For example, if we talk about car, so car and petrol, these are two goods and that are used together, so this demand would be known as joint demand. So let us discuss again what was the unitary elasticity of demand. Let us revise the content. In unitary elasticity, we see EP is equal to 1, means coefficient of elasticity is 1. It means there is a proportionate change in demand is the same as that of proportionate change in price. And in inelastic demand, their coefficient of elasticity would be less than 1. And response of quantity demanded is proportionately less than change in price. And if we talk about elastic demand, coefficient of elasticity EP would be greater than 1, and in that case proportionate change in quantity demanded is greater than proportionate change in price, whether price falls or rises. Perfectly inelastic demand, there would be EP would be 0, means coefficient of elasticity would be 0. quantity demanded does not respond to any change in price. That means in perfectly elastic demand, where coefficient of elasticity EP is equal to infinity, here buyers can prepared to buy entire quantity at a prevailing price, but none at slightly higher price. Conversely, they can buy infinity at a lower price. And these are the determinants of elasticity of demand, like availability of clause substitutes, importance of products cost in one's budget, number of uses, income of the consumer, and how high the price of goods is, nature of goods, and the time of period under the consideration and joint demand. Now we come to the application part. So it has applicability in price determination, and if we are doing the pricing of joint products, for example car, petrol, and etc., many more. So in that case, we it is helpful in price discrimination. If we wanted to shift the tax burden, that in that case also important, it has importance in international trade, designing and or we can say devising marketing strategies or policies. Income elasticity of demand, it is also very important concept. In income elasticity, other things such as price of given good or relative goods, taste of the consumer, etc., being remain constant. Income elasticity of demand measures the percentage change in buyer's purchase of a product as a result of percentage change in his or her income. Here, EY is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income, where percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to Q1 minus Q0 divided by Q0 multiplied by 100. So Q1 is the current quantity that is now being demanded. Q0 is previous quantity before we changed our prices. Then percentage change in income, y1 minus k y0 divided by y0 multiplied by 100. Y1 is current income, y0 is previous income of the customer. Applications of income elasticity of demand. The income elasticity of demand actually allows a firm to determine the future size of the market for a good and hence its production capacity. Suppose that the income elasticity of good is positive. If a firm predicts an economic expansion, which is a period of time during which national income is rising, it should increase its production capacity in order to be able to meet higher demand when economic expansion comes. Furthermore, the higher the income elasticity of demand is, the larger will be increase in demand, and hence larger the extent the firm should increase its production capacity. Conversely, if firm predicts an expand economic contraction, which is the period, what economic contraction means, it is a period of time during which national income is falling, it should decrease its production capacity to minimize excess capacity when economic contraction comes. The concept of income elasticity of demand may enable a firm to determine how to formulate its marketing strategy. Cross elasticity of demand. In the case of a product that has a substitute like oranges and apples, these are substitutes, the price change of a one product affects the demand for the other. Cross Price elasticity of demand measures this effect. So, cross elasticity of demand is percentage change in quantity demanded for a product A divided by percentage change in price of product B. Advertising elasticity measures the percentage change in the quantity of a good demanded induced by a percentage change in spending on advertising in that product. The formula is percentage change in quantity sold for a product divided by percentage change in spending on advertisement of that product, where percentage change in quantity sold is equal to Q1 minus Q0 divided by Q0 multiplied by 100. Q1 is current quantity, Q0 is previous quantity that was demanded. Percentage change in spending on advertisement A1 minus A0 divided by A0 multiplied by 100. A1 is current spending on advertisement A. Now we come to the limitation part of the elasticity of demand. First one, irrelevant or unreliable data. As we know, we have past data, so it may be the case that the same data is not valid in present time. It may be the case. Unrealistic assumption, as we know, caritas paribus, that means the income, the taste preference, and other things being constant. So that is something unrealistic. In real life, we see there are a lot of changes in income, taste preference, and size of the population, and many more. So this is also a unrealistic assumption. Now we come to the summary part. Elasticity of demand measures, it is actually measures how much the quantity demanded changes with a given change in particular determinant of demand. Is that price of the item, change in the consumer's income, or change in the price of related products and advertisement? It is the measurement. Elasticity of demand is the measurement. We have formulas and we are doing calculation. What we are trying to do is we are trying to measure the things, right? So price elasticity of demand is of great significance in business decisions as well. This insight helps the managers to determine the prices of different products that would yield maximum profit for their businesses. In fact, a manager must take into account the factors that influence demand of a product to be more or less elastic. And why we are studying these concepts, because in future you are doing a management course, definitely you are the future managers. With this I would like to help thank all of you. I believe that this video would be helpful to you students. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.